Alright guys, we are back with another in-depth character review, and this time we are turning up the heat with my personal favorite Pokemon fighter in Smash, Incineroar. Remember, if you have questions about the terms I use, check out my Basics of Smash Terminology video and it will probably be explained. We don't have a lot of time, so let's climb up to the top rope and jump right into this. Incineroar is the final evolution of the Sun and Moon fire starter Litten, and was first unofficially leaked in June 2016 before being officially revealed by Nintendo in October with the rest of the Gen 7 starter evolutions. Since then, Incineroar has become quite the fan favorite, making several appearances in the anime and being used competitively in the games as either a low-tier wall breaker in singles or a doubles powerhouse with a ton of utility. In its own canon, Incineroar is known to play the role of a heel in wrestling, hence its dark type. And as such, most of its moves not explicitly based on Pokemon attacks come from pro wrestling moves. A lot of its attacks will also have an animation that plays depending on if he lands or he misses it. Either way, Incineroar is always playing it up for the crowd. Moving on to his character attributes, things get pretty lopsided. Incineroar is by far and away the slowest character in Smash Bros. History. It has the slowest ground speeds by a pretty large margin, and its airspeed isn't much higher than the bottom as well. Its mediocre air acceleration doesn't help matters either, so when you jump, you won't be landing far from where you took off. This means you'll have to rely on its decent fall speed to mix things up, otherwise you're liable to just get juggled without ever touching your opponent. Fortunately, that lack of speed does come with some weight to back it up, as Incineroar is tied for the 6th heaviest in the game with its fellow Firestarter Charizard. So while you may get knocked around a lot from your lack of speed, you can definitely manage to take some hits before worrying about losing a stock, provided you're smart about your exploitable recovery and don't get gimped. Now while I would normally move on to cover all the normal attacks first, then move on to specials, I'd like to cover his down special Revenge first, as it really acts more like a passive boost than a traditional counter. Revenge will become active and ready to absorb things on frame 3, making it the fastest counter in the game, and fast enough to be used to break combos even. When hit with a move, Revenge will reduce whatever damage you would have taken by 60%, deal 2.4% back while knocking them back a bit, and supercharge your next move depending on the damage of the move you just absorbed. You could see the exact formula in the overview page, but a simple rule of thumb is, no matter what you absorb, Revenge will boost your next move's damage by 25%, and for every 1 base damage after that, add another 7.5%, until finally it reaches its max multiplier of 300% damage. If you want to reach the big multipliers, you can either absorb a really big hit, or you can stack smaller hits together, which will actually build it up even faster. Just remember that you'll lose your Revenge boost if you don't use it in 1 minute, and the more and bigger attacks you whiff, the quicker your Revenge timer will deplete. You'll also lose it if you take over 36% damage, or if your opponent throws you. If they grab you, you can still keep Revenge if you mash out quick enough, but some instant throwing command grabs like Isabelle's will remove it regardless. When you have a Revenge boost, it's important to optimize which attack you use next, because you'll only get one shot. It's much better to do up to 70% with a side B or a smash attack than to waste it doing 10% on a jab 1 for instance. And different set knockback multipliers are added for different moves. You'll get a 10% knockback boost to neutral B and throws, 15% boost to tilt, dash attacks, and aerials, and a 20% boost to smash attacks and side B, no matter what you countered. Everything else just gets the damage boost. It won't disappear on get up attacks though, so feel free to use that option to get back to stage. It won't disappear on shield either. Take advantage of that to absolutely pound your opponent's shield with your damage boosted moves. Utilizing Incineroar's Revenge is essential for keeping up with some of the zoner and faster glass cannon matchups. It's one of the cornerstones of the character and should be taken advantage of as much as possible. So now that we have that out of the way, we can start talking about what attacks the slow brute will be hitting back with, starting with the ground moves. Alright, we're starting things off with Jab, and honestly there really isn't much going on here. It may look flashy, but it only does 10% base damage total and barely sends anywhere. It isn't particularly fast either for a jab, and even though the latest patch at least made it connect properly, there isn't ever a good reason to use it over something else. Let's just move on. Down tilt is a much better way to open up the opponent and is honestly one of Incineroar's best moves. It does decent damage, but the real power of this move is its utility. It's just fast enough that your opponent has to respect it, and the intangibility on the legs make it fantastic for scooping up recoveries at the ledge, and when it does, you have a cavalcade of moves to follow up with. Neutral air, turn around back air, forward air, up air, neutral B, F tilt, even cross chop if you're feeling brave. They are all available from this one move. You can even trick your opponent into a big air dodge reach smash attack if you feel like you have them down. Use it and use it often. Up tilt isn't quite as fantastic, but it has its uses. It's the fastest of its tilts at a speedy frame 6, and covers a pretty nice arc from back to front. The intangibility on the head make it pretty good as a fast anti-air option, and it's a decent thing to use out of a down tilt. It's not the most powerful move ever, but it serves its purpose. But if it's raw power you're after, then look no further than F-tilt. Based on one of Incineroar's signature moves, Throat Chop, this attack does a solid chunk of damage, sends at a fantastic angle, and kills very early. It's a pretty slow and laggy move, and it doesn't have the most range in the world, but it can be angled, which really comes in handy for confirming it out of down tilt at the ledge. It may not be the most versatile move in the world, but man, it hits hard. Use it for a punish when a smash attack would be too slow. Moving on to a quicker option, dash attack is extremely important for Incineroar's toolkit. This dash attack deals good damage, excellent knockback, and is active for a long time, but the most important aspect of it is how far and how quickly it travels. When you play the slowest character in the game, you're basically always going to be trying to close gaps, and dash attack is the best way Incineroar can do this. If the enemy is just out of reach, throw a flying knee at them and watch them soar. Let's move on to the big guns, shall we? Starting with Up Smash. While arguably the least powerful of Incineroar's smash attacks, I wouldn't exactly call it weak, especially for the decent speed it has. Just 13 frames is not very long to wait for a move that does 17 base damage, and also has the least lag of all of its smash attacks. It's a bit one note, but it's a great move to use for anti-air since it has intangibility on the arms and covers an arc almost completely around the whole body. I recommend using it for a meaty air dodge punish when your opponent is trying to escape a juggle situation. Next up is Down Smash, the ultimate flying press. It doesn't have the armor of K. Rool's belly slam or the range of Ridley's wing drop, but it's faster than both and still just as strong. Because of how high Incineroar jumps, this move basically has one primary use, and that is to be a spot dodge with a hitbox, jumping over attacks and making them whiff before slamming back down on top of them. It's a niche use, but if you have the read, it will definitely reward you. But now it's time for the biggest of the big guns. Incineroar's forward smash is quite frankly one of the best forward smashes in the game. It's fairly quick for the ridiculous 20% it does on its sweet spot, and yeah, it has a weaker 16% sour spot, but look at this hitbox. You have to go out of your way to hit that. But the best part of this move isn't just the fantastic power and relatively low lag, it's how far Incineroar leaps forward when using it. This makes it great for tripping up your opponent by rearing back to get a whiff, then lunging forward to punish hard, and also makes it pretty good for use for ledge coverage. And don't even get me started on revenge boosting it. Use it a good amount to hard punish and to scare your opponent onto their back foot. But we can't talk about a wrestling style grappler character without talking about their grab game. Incineroar's grabs themselves are pretty typical for a heavyweight, that being slow. Aside from tether grabs, this is about as slow as grabs get, but they do have some decent range, with dash grab in particular lunging forward and helping this slug of a character make up the distance. Just make sure not to overshoot your opponent with it. Luckily, when you do manage to get one of these slow grabs to hit, you have some of the best throws in the game to unleash. I suppose we will start with its infamous back throw German suplex. This is arguably the strongest back throw in the game overall. Yes, it doesn't kill as early as Ness's, but it does more damage at a stout 14 base, launches further away at lower percents, and, well, you know, revenge is a hell of a drug. Since Incineroar's up throw also kills, this throw should only be used about 4 character lengths or less away from the ledge to kill, or at mid percents for damage when down throw isn't comboing well anymore. Its backbreaker up throw, since the patch, has actually become the main kill throw, taking stocks in the 130s give or take anywhere on the stage. It does good damage too, and has such ridiculous base knockback that a revenge charged one will trick the game into thinking you're taking the stock way earlier than you actually are. Keep this one fresh for the kill since it doesn't do much else. Down throw on the other hand, does a ton. This is Incineroar's combo throw and it's fantastic. At low percents you can basically hit whatever you want off of it. Back air, forward air, neutral B, neutral air, up air. Or if you really want to go nuts, hit them with a down throw Incineroar cross chop at the ledge that will always kill your opponent first, even from 0%. It stops working as percents get higher and the opponent can start DIing out further and further away, so if you want some of the great mid to high percent kill confirms from this throw, I suggest tricking your enemy into DIing in, or use Revenge to close the damage gap since it doesn't mess with the knockback all that much. And lastly, the Giant Swing inspired forward throw. At first glance, this throw seems like nothing special. Yeah, it does good damage, but so do the rest of Incineroar's throws. It kills at the ledge in the mid 150s, but by that time you might as well use up throw. And it's so slow you can't even use it to mix up down throw DI. But it does have a couple niches. The first one, obviously, is that sometimes having your opponent off stage is better than tacking on a few more percent, and this throw does that well. The second is that just like the move that it's based on, this throw will strike anyone around it with one of the strongest collateral hitboxes I've ever seen. This has obvious uses in doubles, but also can help out in singles matchups like Rosalina and the Ice Climbers. Aside from these niche uses though, I wouldn't bother. But no character, no matter how much raw power they have, can get by on ground attacks alone. Just ask Little Mac. So let's move on to Incineroar's aerials, shall we? Even though Incineroar is not fast by any means, that doesn't mean it's helpless in the air. Quite the contrary. There isn't a better move to start off with than Neutral Air, which is honestly one of Incineroar's best moves. There's just nothing bad about this move at all. It's super fast, super strong, super active, and super lagless. It just does everything. It's one of Incineroar's only good out of shield options, and it kills pretty well for a move of its speed, but it's also fantastic at edge guarding, either way off stage or right by the ledge. It's also one of the few ways Incineroar can fight its way down and try to keep from being juggled. You should and will use this move constantly, one of the best neutral airs in the game in my opinion. Moving on to forward air, things aren't quite as good, but they could be a lot worse. This dropkick still comes out decently quick and either does 12 or 13% depending on if you hit on the legs or the feet, and is certainly not lacking in kill power. This move's main weakness though, is how laggy it is when it's used in the air. If you use it when rising up for instance, you better make sure you hit it or you'll be stuck open for punishment for a while. Instead, it's better to use this attack as close to the ground as possible when falling, so you only have to deal with a much shorter landing lag. It's a pretty good attack, and is a good option to use at a down throw or down tilt, but ultimately outclassed by back air and neutral air. Yeah, back air is simply better overall. It has the same sort of strong sour spot, stronger sweet spot thing going on as forward air, but it comes out a little faster, kills a little earlier, and has a lot less lag. Since you can use reverse aerial rush back air out of a down throw and down tilt, you really should be aiming to use this move over forward air most of the time. It's a pretty solid move overall, with its only downside being its hitbox is kinda small, making it a little tricky to hit, especially out of shield. Up air is very similar, only this time Incineroar sweeps its legs above it instead of to the side. It doesn't do nearly as much damage as Incineroar's other aerials, but the big sweeping hitbox, quick speed, and virtually no landing lag make it one of Incineroar's better moves. It's so fast that if you hit one, you'll probably hit another, making it great at juggling. This has the side effect of making your enemy mash air dodge, letting you get some of the bigger punishes off. Because it's so lagless, you can confirm a lot of moves out of landing up air, including but not limited to back air, forward air, up tilt, neutral air, another up air, and neutral B. With a character this slow, it's nice to have a move that lets you keep up the pressure when you finally break through. Unfortunately, Incineroar's streak of good aerials kinda stops with down air. It's not terrible or anything, but there just isn't much here to shout about. It's just a big, dumb, strong, slow, stomp spike down air. Sure, it's got a few cool things like a late hitbox you'll never actually hit, and an actually quite strong outwards launching hit up more towards his body, but down airs like these are always going to be situational. But it's pretty damn powerful if you do manage to hit the spike, and I really can't imagine a character like Incineroar having anything else for its down air. But as we all know, A button is only half the story, and even a character as straightforward as Incineroar has some tricks up its furry sleeves with its special moves. We've already covered Revenge, so we're gonna start off with a bang with Incineroar's Neutral B and signature move, Darkest Lariat. This is basically a fast, powerful, lingering tornado of hitboxes. It starts hitting with full body invincibility at an extremely fast frame 5. This makes it a great out of shield, out of spot dodge, and general get off me option to throw out. As the move spins, the damage gradually decreases from 16% all the way down to 6, with only the arms still invincible at that point. The fact it keeps hitting for almost a full second makes it good at covering ledge or off stage, but it also means you are getting punished hard if you whiff. and it sometimes isn't safe on hit at lower percents. It may not completely ignore defense stats like in Sun and Moon, but it can really brutalize a shield, especially with Revenge, often poking through or even breaking it. You'll be using this move quite a bit, but don't get spammy with it. Next up, the famous Alolan Whip. This is one of the strongest grabs in the game, period. Right up there with Aura Charge Lucario Force Palm. The grab itself is nothing too special and is actually fairly slow. Sometimes the slow speed can be a benefit though, like when it outlasts a spot dodge, but most of the time you'll just get hit. Luckily it has a little bit of grab armor, so if you trade with a move you'll still end up executing the attack. Be wary of things like projectiles or windboxes, as this can mess up the back and forth to the ropes and leave Incineroar like bruh. When you do land the grab, you actually have 3 different attacks you can do depending on the timing. If you are too early with your B press, you'll do a back toss, doing 12% and launching upward. This one is sometimes preferred if you'd rather put in the air for juggles, and kills earlier if you have your back to the ledge, or if you manage to land a grab up high. If you are too late or don't press B at all, you'll simply bounce off each other, doing a tiny bit of damage to both of you and not much else. This really is only useful way off stage for some cheesy gimps. And finally, if you hit the window just right, you'll get a successful clothesline and deal a massive 20% base damage, launching a crazy distance. This move is all base knockback, meaning it kills at absurd percents near the ledge or off stage, but has trouble getting it done across the stage. Still, 9 times out of 10, this is what you should be shooting for, and combined with Revenge it can do up to 75% in 1v1, and kill even earlier. The timing window changes depending on the character, with bigger characters reaching Incineroar earlier than thinner ones. It's supposed to be a 6-frame window, but when I tested it, Bowser had a 4-frame window from 44 to 47, while Pichu had a 5-frame window from 45 to 49. It's just something you'll have to practice, but definitely rewards you if you do. It's also great for recovery since it stalls your fall a bit and doesn't put you into freefall. But as far as recovery moves go, you'll be using Cross Chop most of the time. Cross Chop has Incineroar fly up, then soar downward, landing with a big explosion. As a recovery move, it's exploitable, but it could be worse. It has some super armor on the way up to make it safer to recover with, and to make it a decent combo breaking tool too. You can change the angle of descent by holding forward or back, and go through platforms by holding down. Just make sure you don't miss the ledge. The awkward way this move works and the odd angles Incineroar travels are some of the prime reasons it is so easy to edgeguard in Gimp. That being said, you don't go into Special Fall after using this move either, which means in your toolbox of recovery, you have Cross Chop, Double Jump, Side B, and Air Dodge. Mix and match the order you use these in to ensure a safe trip back to the stage. My favorite is to Side B low, then Double Jump up B back to ledge. As an attack, Cross Chop isn't half bad either. It has about 4,000 different hitboxes doing different damage depending on when and where you hit the opponent. Ideally, you want to hit right in front where Incineroar crosses its arms and do a direct hit into the stage. This will maximize the damage. This sweet spot is one of the strongest spikes in the game, which lets you do that Incineroar I talked about earlier. And a direct hit in the explosion has some serious knockback to it. Try mixing things up when recovering to ledge to give your opponent a nasty surprise. Okay, now that we've more or less covered every one of this Pokemon's moves, let's see how things stack up in the final verdict. Unfortunately for Incineroar, the first criteria we grade here is speed, and I don't think anyone is arguing the slowest character in the game should get more than a 1 here. Honestly, I even contemplated putting a 0 for a while. Moving on. Power is getting a fat 5 out of 5. Even without Revenge, Incineroar has some of the most consistent power in the game across its entire moveset, especially considering the relatively quick frame data it has. Taking a stock is never an issue, and aside from Jab, the only moves that do less than 10% combo into other moves that do. Add Revenge into the mix and things just get silly. Defense is a bit lacking though. Sure, Incineroar is hefty and can take a hit, but the problem is that it just can't seem to stop taking them. It only has Nair, Cross Chop, and Lariat to use out of shield, and its slow speed and high weight make it a pain to get things back in your favor. Sure, it has a couple escape options like Revenge, but those can be hard punish if read and aren't always reliable. It's a 2 out of 5 here. The same goes for versatility. Being so slow and straightforward means the matchups you lose are going to be awful for you. Yes, Incineroar's power and Revenge help alleviate those issues somewhat, but you'll still need to have a good handle on what your opponent is doing to even land a hit with Incineroar. Anybody fast, tanky, or campy enough to handle you like Bowser, Olimar, Yoshi, or all the Samuses will be giving you trouble, and that's not even getting into your exploitable recovery. When you do win, you absolutely obliterate the opposition, but unfortunately that doesn't really lead to a versatile character. 2 out of 5. Overall, Incineroar is the most fun you'll ever have playing Smash. Sure, the slug-like pace you'll move at will make it difficult to get your paws on somebody, but that makes it all the more satisfying to finally land one of Incineroar's massive hits. I wouldn't recommend solo maining it, but it can make for a fiery counter pick with the right matchup, and I guarantee you'll be putting on a show when you do. Thanks for watching, guys. Now that it's summer, I'm trying to bump up the production rate of these character reviews. Special thanks to the patrons that support us in between videos, and if you'd like to vote for which character gets covered next, just chime in with your choice from the list provided in the pinned comment below. This should help streamline the nomination process. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
Congratulations!